Bomb diggity doo. Man, this is big. GIE Plus Expo just around the corner. And at the largest event in our industry, you're going to see the latest technological innovations. You get to meet with product suppliers, participate in workshops, get hands-on time with the best equipment, and hang out with your favorite lawn bros. Brian says he hopes to see you at the trade show. It's in Louisville, October the 20th through the 22nd. And get 50% off your registration when you use the promo code Brian. And we've got a link for you in the description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging out with you guys. And today, we actually have a back-to-back returning guest interview. I don't know if we're going to call this a part two or we're going to title it something different, but we have none other than Caleb Auman joining us on the podcast. Caleb, good evening. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm good, buddy. I'm sorry to hear your podcast is doing so poorly. You got to have me back on twice now.
Well, no, it's been doing whatever, dude. It's been doing so great that we're just going to ride that wave and milk it for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? So
I guess. Well, you've been really high on the top 100 list here. You were in top 50s there. That was cool.
I think that's because you gave me a shout out on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Just kiss the ring, man. Just kiss the ring. That's all you
we pay homage. That's how we do it, you know. And if it's not you, it's Paul, you know. And I'm just having some fun here. But no,
Paul's the godfather, yeah.
Yeah, Paul's got his fingerprints on everybody's podcast, and him and Mr. Producer, amen. But how's your evening? How's your evening going, man? It's we're actually recording this late night. We're gonna get into some stuff here, a couple of fun topics. But what do you guys got going on this evening? You guys have a good day, or how's the week?
The week is shaping up okay. Monday was a train wreck. And Monday was just one of those days where it's like, man, let's just start over. But so far the week's shaping up okay. So I think I don't even know what today is. Today's Wednesday. Yeah. So we're 3 days into the week and it's finally turning around. So
there you go.
That part's okay. And then I did the worst thing of all. I listed an old truck on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay. Why is that the worst thing of all?
Oh, dude. You've never listed an old vehicle on Facebook Marketplace. So anybody that's out there,
vehicles.
Oh gosh,
vehicles. No, I've sold quite a few things. I just sold my X-Mark Staris stuff on Saturday or Sunday. It was Sunday morning. Guy came up from Ohio, and but it was actually a pretty smooth transaction. I've sold quite a few things on Marketplace. But what's the difference, or why is it more unique when you do a vehicle on Marketplace?
Well, it's an old cheap dump truck, so the price is real low. So it's in a bunch of people's budget, and then you add on that, it's a 7.3 Power Stroke, F550, and dump truck, and people lose their minds and think that it's the crazy. It's just anybody that's sold an old truck on there probably can relate. I should probably turn on my Do Not Disturb if that ding came on there. Bear with me 1 second.
You're good.
My sounded like my doorbell there, but it's actually a text message. So, anyways, so you start getting like 5,000 messages of like, is this item still for sale? Does it have any problems? Dude, it's a 20-year-old truck with a snowplow mount on it and a dump body. It's 20 years old for $5,000. What do you think? You think it's pristine, cherry? You think it's good to go? Like, dude, I can't handle it. I can't do it. I'd rather shoot myself in the foot with a 22 than list an old truck on Facebook Marketplace again. And I knew going into this I didn't want to do it. I'm on a tangent here, Brian.
No, you're good.
But I had it out by the road and wasn't getting a lot of hits on it. I'm like, man, I'm going to have to unload this truck. And I say unload. I've been very upfront with what the issues are with it. It's got a lot of issues. It's a 20-year-old truck for $5,000. What do you know?
Right.
Of course it's got issues.
Right.
The dash doesn't work. The freaking dump hoist is broken. Like, it's got all sorts of problems. And so you got to answer 40-some messages of like, well, what's wrong with it? Well, I already wrote a paragraph of all the major things. I literally wrote a paragraph of what's wrong with this truck, and I still get asked, what's wrong with it?
It's Pandora's box.
Dude, I can't handle. Yeah, dude, 1,000% Pandora's box. I can't handle it, man. I'll have to take the truck off. I'll just set the thing on fire and forget about it. Like, I can't do it anymore.
Well,
I'm over it. So anyways, that's what I did tonight, and that was a horrible idea.
Well, you wrote the listing, man, and what do you say, caveat emptor or something like that? What's your
buyer beware? Yeah, I think I should. That is what I should get. That's what the heading should read. Yeah, caveat emptor. Yeah, buyer beware. That's Latin for buyer beware. And yeah, I say that in front of a lot of things, anyways. But you should always, word to the wise, right? Like, be careful in these transactions with an old truck and
right.
Whatever. Yeah, this truck is terrible. I bought this truck for $10,000, and I knew when I got it, I was like, maybe we skate one out of this. No, I bought it for $10,000, put another $12,000 into it, so I'm $22,000 into this truck that I'm selling for $5,000.
Oh my gosh, no! what is
so bad, Brian?
What is Dave Ramsey like? You these are your quotes from you listening to Dave Ramsey and whatnot. This is from your show. You're like, I paid the price of stupid or something like that. Like, what was that?
Oh,
like,
I got a PhD in DUMB.
That's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I'm a doc. You can call me doctor. Thank you. So, dude, that truck is so bad. But I'll tell you one thing. It's one of those good mistakes you make. If I can put any silver lining on it.
Yeah.
It really sealed the deal of like, we really have to have and keep a dump truck in the fleet, which we've had dump trailers for a while. And we got our big international 4300 dump truck.
Sure.
But the F550 is nice. It's nimble. You know, we can get into smaller sites with it. I love the 7.3 Power Stroke. It's a cool motor. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean anything in the business world. That doesn't count for anything. But it sounds cool. And it's a good truck, but it's just always having issues. I just can't have that downtime. For a young startup guy, you know, it might be a good value or a good deal. But yeah, it was one of those lessons like, yeah, we have to have a dump truck. So the next truck that we move into will be a dump truck for sure. It's one of those, really, like one of those things that should have been obvious, having dump trucks always, which we've had for a little while now, but it was just one of those things like, yep, can't ever not have a dump truck. That's
right.
For sure. So the silver lining is like, yeah, gotta have a dump truck and don't buy any. I think on this truck too, man, I broke two of my cardinal rules. And one of them was don't ever buy a truck with a snowplow mount on it with high miles. And then don't ever buy a truck with a snowplow mount on it. and I broke both those freaking rules. And here it cost me $12,000. Well, actually, it cost me $17,000 freaking dollars. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we're gonna take a terrible beating on this thing. It's awful.
Well, then you also got the opportunity cost of putting that other $12,000 to work for you. You know, for crying out loud. But,
yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It makes me nauseous, Brian. And
I thought it just hit you while you're on your knees there. You know, just keep punching you. Just keep.
Yeah, really, man. Yeah, like Monty Python. So, yeah, like, dude. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things Britt and I have been joking about on a bunch of things lately of like, dude, I hit do not disturb. What is going on here? Do not disturb on, right? That's what that means.
It doesn't work on my phone, just for the record. Because when if you guys are ever listening to a podcast and you hear the boop, boop from somebody calling, which have your phone public on the internet, I get 80 calls a day, literally. So when I shoot a podcast, I put my phone on do not disturb. It's like a swipe down feature on your Apple phone. And it never works. I don't understand how it works. And so when we do these interviews, you need Bluetooth to sync over to the board, right? For all of you guys that want to nerd out about this tech, because it's basically right there at my pay grade, just a little above. So I kind of fake my way through it. Like I know what I'm talking about here, but my phone does the same thing, Caleb.
Well, I thought, it seemed like it normally works, but apparently it's not. So my apologies, everybody. So anyways, yeah, Brian, that's my fiasco. And my apologies to anybody that has DM'd me on these things or, sent me Facebook messages and stuff. Like, I probably seem really rude or whatever, but like, man, I've answered 40 freaking DMs already. It's just like, I can't handle another question. What's wrong with it? I just can't mentally give it the energy. Dude, I'm over it. So anyways,
I like it.
Yeah, I won't. I swear to goodness, I'm not going to do this again, or I'm going to get Britt to do it for me or something.
Well, I mean, you're already dropping bombs. You already got two commandment rules that you don't break, and so that's already a good takeaway from the podcast. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more value coming up right after that. No, I'm just kidding. But well, I want to jump into it really quick here. I do want to talk to a couple questions for you from me. And then I'm sure some other guys that are out there in the industry. By the way, before we segue into that, you guys did pick up a new truck, though, right? So did you sell the old one off? I know some guys, we don't get to geek out about gear enough sometimes on the podcast. We did a lot of that last year. This year, I'm trying to not nerd out only about equipment. I want to know more how to grow a company. But a lot of guys, they do. They love hearing the upgrades, and they're in the market. And gosh, vehicles right now are just literally impossible to find. I don't know if you've seen like the IllumiDuty Facebook, not Facebook, but Instagram page. And just the other day, somebody was clearly driving through like some highway road, and there was this massive parking lot. I mean, it's the biggest parking lot I've ever seen, and there had to have been 10 to 20,000 vehicles parked out there. And the caption was just waiting the chips or the transistors or whatever all these companies are waiting on. So trucks are impossible to find, but you guys maybe found a needle in the haystack out there. Is that right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we did. And there are still like trucks out there. They're real specialized things, and they're not the real glamorous stuff. And I tell you what, you saying that, by the way, I really wonder if you can put off buying a vehicle for, whatever the lead time is that they're saying all these chips are waiting on. And It may be such a slow trickle, it keeps demand and price up. But man, what do you want to bet? Like, let's say they, in the next 6 months, get all these 20,000 chips, and all of a sudden the dealerships are flooded.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, actually, we're not going to move stuff as fast as we thought. And then you're going to see like a weird drop in vehicle values, in 18 months. This is just one of the most odd times. It's going to be really interesting to see what, I'm on a tangent, but just see what this looks like in another 12 months when supply catches up. And it's like, oh, well, guess what? I guess pent-up demand wasn't really what people thought it was. Everybody kind of learned to deal with what they have for a little longer. And everybody's kind of like, well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, we found a really nice, and I say we as in Brit, bear shot Dad shot a bear, paw did. Or we shot a bear, paw did, is what my dad always used to say when a couple people would take credit for something they didn't deserve to. So yeah, we shot a bear, paw did. So anyways, another colloquialism there.
Sure.
Yeah, right. Whatever. Anyways, Brian's like, all right, well, we're going to scratch this.
I just let you go, man. No, take it. I love the analogies, and I do like the rabbit holes. I'm a big fan of the Kid Contractor podcast, and I'll just like, I'm learning stuff offhand, secondhand. I listen to like How to Be an Intellectual from guys like Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, and then Caleb Auman. I mean, that's how I.
Boy, that's a joke of the day. Holy cow. That's funny.
Matt Walsh, you're
right up there.
You're my four horsemen. You know what I mean? So
right up there, yeah, right up there with those guys. That's the funniest thing I've heard in a while.
And then our friend Jordan, our second co-host, but doesn't really get on the podcast that much anymore. Is Jordan?
Our mutual pal. Well, he says the year.
Right.
But so we found this truck, and for our stormwater division of the company, we found. We started a stormwater division of the company that's being run by a guy we hired, and we bought it like a 2016 F-250 pickup truck, and then we had the International 4300. And so over the last year, we've kind of like figured out what really works and doesn't work with that scenario. And the stormwater division travels a lot, like generally working an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours from home.
Okay.
And so we're trying to figure out like, okay, we take the big truck to the jobs, which is a big International, and then we take the F-250 as like a support truck. And then the big truck stays on site generally, and then two guys will drive the pickup truck home every day.
Sure.
And so what we're finding is those longer jobs, the farther away, we're not taking the big trucks so much because why take? And then we're hiring more local hauling companies or 10-yard container, dumpster, bin companies, and just putting all our debris in that thing.
Okay.
And saving us hauling a dump truck, halfway across the state or clear across the state. And then it's like, well, we got all this gear for the stormwater division. What they do primarily is that all the box stores and love. We're fixing the drains in the parking lot. You see the stormwater drains and doing retention pond dredging, all that kind of stuff. And we're packing all this gear into a pickup truck. It's just terribly inefficient. It's awful. I mean, concrete saws, lasers, shovels, and spud bars and jackhammers, just all this crap.
Load and unload time,
Oh, it's murderous. It's murderous. Yeah, right. Exactly, Brian. It's murderous. And so we're like, one of these service body trucks would probably be the way to go. And Britt started looking for one, and then she found like a nice Dodge 3500, 1 ton with a 6.7 Hemi in it. Or no, 6.4 Hemi, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm new to the Hemi thing here, actually owning one. But the 6.4 Hemi, and it's got a service body on it. It's 1 ton dually. And that service body is the way to go, man. I tell you, I could kick around going that way with all our vehicles for the company. There's just so much storage, and you don't have to worry about stuff. You can lock the boxes, and granted, they're not totally theft proof, but anyways, yeah, we found what I thought was a decent price on the thing for like $35,000 or 36, something like that, and nice. 45,000 miles on it, and it drives clean, shifts clean. It's really a good really truck in really nice shape. So we're really happy with it. So I think we did kind of find a needle in the haystack kind of deal, and it's a 2018. So
was that?
Yeah, so that was one of the things we just learned over the past year of like what works best for that division of the company, and then the service body really seems to be like. I took it out with John on a job, and it was phenomenal. Just having access to your tools, really, instead of digging through a pickup truck bed and just
right.
Oh, that's terrible. So like.
Did you guys find
I'm
it?
an advocate for those.
Did you guys find it private party or at a dealer, like a trade-in, or what was the story there? Some of those guys are looking for a truck.
Good question. We found it at a dealership, and I say again, Britt found it at a dealership, and it just had been traded in.
Okay.
And it's a dealership local to us that's known for carrying a lot of work trucks, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. I say stumbled upon it, but Britt's really good at finding those kind of deals. Like she has some knack for searching stuff on the internet. She's just really good at it. And when we're in the market for a truck, she sets a time budget of about 10 minutes a day to kind of scroll through the internet for looking for trucks.
Yeah.
She just sets a budget. She just a time budget, that is, and just looks for trucks for 10 minutes a day. Pins the one she likes or thinks are good, and then shows them to me, and then we go from there. Because we looked at some single. She pointed out some single rear wheels. Like if we're going to haul an excavator across the state, we want a really stable. We want to go 1-ton dually. We can't go 3/4 ton.
Okay.
Single rear wheel. Because it's just not as stable. It just doesn't pull as well. If you're going to pull, an 8,000 pound excavator for 2 hours, you really want that truck to feel stable and not have to just really be on your toes, towing for 2 hours. That's really no fun.
Sure.
So to have a truck that's really stable and I tell you what, I haven't owned any Hemi engines before, Dodge Hemis, but that 6.7, man, is the next best thing. Or I say 6.7, I'm sorry. 6.4 Hemi. I think it's 6.4.
Yeah.
7 and 6.4, 6.4. That is the next best thing to a diesel, man. That thing is really, I'm impressed with that engine. It really pulls pretty well for a gas engine. I thought our V10 Ford pulled well, but
yeah,
this 6.7, golly, this 6.4. Anyways, I'm excited. I don't get on gear too much sometimes, but
no, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the truck. It's cool. So it's kind of made me a Dodge fan, and the cabs are really big. Like I don't know. So
that's
whatever.
Cool.
But anyways, Brian, that's where we're at with that situation. But the service bodies, man, I'll tell you what. Even for an owner operator, even on a mow crew, I would really, really consider like a single rear wheel like service body pickup truck. Just you can have your mixed fuel in there locked in, your string trimmer line. You can keep head shears. You can keep all sorts of crap in there, constantly locked up. The crackheads will still get in there if they want to. They can still pry those boxes open. They've got some other theft deterrent things for those too. But like, I'm really a huge believer in the service body. It's really something to consider, I think.
And for the service body, can you describe that for 10 seconds? Maybe not everybody listening knows what that is. Because
that's good. That's a good point.
If you just said that, I honestly wouldn't know what it is. But if you describe the truck, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, of course.
Yeah. Sorry. So the service bodies are, your regular cab, pickup, regular looking cab pickup truck with maybe an extended cab or not. And then the back of it is not your traditional pickup truck bed. It's got like the toolbox looking side. So it's a little more squared off in the back. Not as sexy as a pickup truck, of course. But if you're into efficiency and profitability, it's real sexy. Yeah. So, if you're into that sort of thing, like making money, whatever. But so it's got all the toolbox doors on the side of the truck, right? And then there still is a bed area in the center of it, in the back that you can still it's wide enough to slip generally, slip a pallet up in there if you need to load a pallet of brick or block or whatever if the truck's rated for it weight wise.
Okay.
And then you can put a ladder rack on it. This truck we bought has a ladder rack on it, so it's great for putting. We're constantly needing pipe for these jobs, and we do a little bit of concrete, so we can put some concrete form boards, 2x6s and stuff up on that ladder rack.
Sure.
And if we got to get down in a drainage structure, we can keep a ladder up there real easy. And we keep all our saws and air monitors and fire extinguisher and first aid kit and PPE and all that stuff in all these boxes, and it's just always locked up. I am probably going to become a missionary for these things. Like it really is I think the way to go. And I'll tell you, for the lawn guys, if you haven't seen Andy Mulder's, did you see Andy Mulder's new mow truck?
I was going to bring that up. I just saw it. Yesterday?
Is
that a Isuzu and NPR, right?
I think so, yeah.
The shell, it looks like a custom order. I mean, that thing looks spanking new, and
it was, as far as I understand. Yeah.
From seeing those, if Andy Mulder on Instagram, if you guys aren't following along, I think it's Mulder Outdoors, because he finally heated Caleb in social media marketing guru, Caleb Auman. And so Andy had to change his Instagram because everybody was trying to find him, and it's like his Instagram handle was a little rough, but it was
a little clunky,
a little clunky. But he's got a great company, great business, and he's got
amazing business.
Yeah, like debt-free dude. His home personally, great guy in business, and he's been on the show from the Hype House. We've got to get maybe a mid-season recap or something with them, and maybe interview him about the truck. Who knows? But
yeah, the truck is sweet.
Well, I love the Isuzus because I used to rock one of those when I was at True Green. It was a really cool truck, and then Corey Ballard has a fleet of those as well. They swear by them. And then the kind of truck that you guys just bought, I see a lot of companies around here, like the fertilizer companies and especially the irrigation companies, use a ton of them. Because like all those different containers, it's like you said, it's like a regular pickup truck, but it's got the saddlebag side walls that are storage lockers, and they're really cool. And like you said, maybe not the most sexy vehicle. Like I heard you saying on a podcast the other day, you want your Chevy 2500 HD, Denali. And that's cool. But if you get this truck, you'll be able to buy that truck. If you buy that truck, you probably will go bankrupt eventually if you aren't really paying attention to your numbers. Amen. So
exactly, yeah.
So, but I'm pulling for you because the Denali HD truck, and you guys can go get one tomorrow if you want it. I know that, but it's that's a beautiful truck. I was just doing a podcast the other day with a young man named Mike Tortini. I do so many podcasts, guys, bear with me, but he has a dream to get a Denali truck, and so he named his business Denali Landscaping. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so he named it twofold. One was Denali is like the top of the top tier or top of the line, right? And then number two, he's a big GM Chevy guy. He wanted to get a Denali pickup truck. And so, hey, whatever is your motivation. Mine's always been like a big dog F-250. And so if you want to get a Denali HD, that would be an awesome foreman or owner truck. But like Caleb is talking about, get the work trucks first and get your money right. And then you can go splurge and get the toys, right, Caleb? So
yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, man. And it really, I wish this company was named IRA Denali. So if you buy a Denali, you sure as heck better have a good IRA, retirement plan set up before you buy a $80,000 truck. By the way, so young man, I hope. See, Brian, I'm getting old, and so I start yelling about stuff like that because because I'm getting old. It's like, man, you got to have your retirement in order, right? Your investments and stuff. So that $80,000 ain't worth nothing when you're on your you're 65 years old. So you got to make sure that retirement's there too. But I like that. That's great motivation. That's super cool.
Amen. Well, here's what. Let's do this really quick. We'll change it up a little bit. I want to do a little pivot here. We're gonna hear a little bit more from Caleb in a quick second. I'm gonna ask him a couple of quick questions, some things that I wrote down that I want to ask you, Caleb. Not prepared by any way, shape, or form, because
I'm kind of nervous.
I know, right? But it'll be a really fun episode. We're gonna change it up here a little bit. But Caleb, this is something that we do on our podcast. Is we have some show sponsors and some show announcements, right? So we like to get through those. So we always try to make room for our show sponsors on our podcast. I do enjoy listening to your podcast. Where you're like, Mr. Producer, cut me out. Just put these in, And so we're gonna try to do a little transition here, kind of tee it up to Mr. Producer. That way he can take it away. Fair enough. So let's do this really quick. I want to hear more from Caleb Auman. I got some good questions I want to run by him, get his thought process, and honestly, maybe some wisdom that he might be able to bestow upon us here. So if you guys got a couple quick minutes, let's kick into the show sponsors. We're going to come right on back here in just a quick minute.
When productivity matters, Billy Goat's one and done 30-inch and 25-inch plugger reciprocating aerators deliver. You have a tight window of time to complete your aeration services before the leaves start flying and fall cleanups get underway. So get to it with hydro drive, self-propelled, variable speed, in-ground turning, and the unmatched maneuverability of a Billy Goat reciprocating aerator. Eliminate double aerating and do patch repair and seedbed prep on the fly, saving time and maximizing your productivity. Complete a quarter acre in as little as 15 minutes with the 30-inch and up to just under 43,000 square feet per hour with the 25-inch. Get in more jobs per day and do them with one pass, one machine, a one-man crew, and aerate one time without callbacks. See your local lawn and garden dealer and ask about the 150-day deferred, 0 down, 0% or low-interest financing up to 4 years.
This is the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Now, here is your host, Brian Fullerton.
All right, guys. Well, we are going back to Mr. Caleb Auman, and his social media followings is Caleb Auman and what is it? Auman Landscape LLC, right, on Instagram. And
Yep.
What is Brittany's? I always get it wrong. Is it Auman Brittany or Brittany Auman?
It's Auman.Brittany, Auman.Brittany. Yep.
Auman.Brittany. So make sure you guys give these guys a follow on Instagram. They have a growing YouTube channel for sure as well, especially because of a breakout video called Gas in Thy Eye. We have to make sure we
I'm
cover.
glad you did it because I was going to.
So by the way, how much I love you guys listening to the show. You guys can tell we just cut up. We try to keep it light. A lot of you guys are mowing grass. It's hot. It's raining. We're probably covered in grass. It's nasty out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm literally prying the mower on a weed whip myself, listening to my own podcast and Paul's and other people. But so really funny story. I got to give a shout out to all of you guys that listen in, because when we did a podcast episode with Caleb about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we said, hey, if you guys are real fans of the show, I mean, like the zealots, like you guys are there.
The reals, yeah.
The reals. You guys got my back. You guys have to go to the Auman Landscape LLC YouTube channel, and you guys have to go to the video titled Gas in Thy Eye. Now, this was, Caleb, you want to set it up for a quick second so these folks can know what this amazing production was actually about?
Well, I mean, some folks have said the phrase, the best YouTube video ever created.
Okay.
Now, they weren't talking about this video, but I've heard people say that phrase before. So the gas in the eye. Yeah, I got gasoline in my eye at the shop one day. Unfortunately, I had eye wash in the shop, which we're always really big on the eye wash, tourniquets, first aid kits, and fire extinguishers. We're big advocates for having those in your company. I don't care what size company you're. I don't care if you're a weekend warrior mowing guy, or Corey Ballard. I don't care. You need all that crap on your truck,
right?
And I got a ton of gasoline in my friggin' eyeball, and I had eye wash there, and I was flushing my eyeball out, and I had a GoPro handy, so I was like, well, might as well make good use of this, and it's a good, good learning moment. And we got a YouTube channel. We don't know what we're doing. We suck at the YouTube thing. And I thought it'd be really funny to name it, instead of making some like headline, or whatever the kids call it. I don't even know. That's why I suck at YouTube. I don't know any of that stuff. I was like, I got gas in my eye, or so I just thought like Gas in Thy Eye would be really funny. Turns out it wasn't at all, and no one watched it, and it was like the lowest viewed video on our page. And we don't even have any. We don't have any views to speak of, but I have caught nonstop crap about that title from Brian since we put it out. And so I have made it a personal mission of mine to mention it every chance I get. And one of these days, like Kanye, one of these days, Ye is going to get a hold of it. It's going to blow up, I think.
I think that or you guys got to pay for some boosted views or ads or whatever. I don't know how that works, but somebody needs to boost that video and get it out to the ecosystem.
If you can do that, I will do that about that video. I have a goal, because Brett gave me crap. Oh, everyone gave me crap about titling it Gas in Thy Eye. So I'm on a personal mission from God now to blow that video up.
I mean, I don't know why the channel's not growing. You know what I mean? So it's
I can't imagine what we're doing wrong. Yeah,
I can't put my finger on it. It's usually have a pretty good eye for that stuff. But I digress. But I
mean, what do you know about making a YouTube channel, anyways? Yeah,
we have no idea what we're doing either. Honestly, we always say we're Forrest Gumping our way to the finish line, but I think we're the channel that gives everybody hope. You know what I mean? But if we can do it, you can do it, right, folks? All right. Well, let's do this. If you guys, by the way, so we say all that just to go full circle. That for there's about a half dozen of you guys. There was literally about a half dozen of you guys, though, that went to that video because I said, hey, if you're a real fan, go to that video. Go YouTube or Google Gas in Thy Eye. It'll come up. Leave a comment. Say, heard you and Fullerton babbling about this stupid video. I hit the thumbs up and left a comment for the algorithm. And if enough of us do that, maybe the algorithm will pick it up and actually zip it out there to the ecosystem, and it can go bazillion view viral, And Mr. Beast ain't got nothing on us, man. So
exactly. And thank you, and for everybody that went and did that. Because we got a handful of comments, and it was awesome. And actually more than that, And I want to say thank you. Everybody took the time out of their busy day to do that because it makes this whole thing a lot of fun. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it a ton.
Well, you guys were sharing the screenshots in a little group chat with me, you, Brittany, and Liz, and we were laughing every time they came through that day. I was laughing so freaking hard. I'm like, my gosh! Like one, we're just we're ridiculous, and then number two, shout out to all of you guys that are similarly ridiculous and just like having fun with us. It's like we're all sweating it out. We're all just going 100 miles an hour, and it's fun to just poke fun and create a community. I mean, that's what friends do.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about. So Caleb, let me ask you this. Little pivot here. We're gonna do a little transition. I want to ask you some questions about family and business. And so unprepared. I didn't send you anything, so it's totally unscripted.
Nope.
Totally unscripted here. But let me ask you this. A lot of guys listening to the show, they are, in their 20s, their 30s. They're getting their business going, their life going. One thing that I've noticed over the last 3, 4, 5 years of me doing YouTube, having the podcast, being on Instagram, our live event, right? So I've noticed that a lot of my audience is growing up. I mean, they are, they're going from 21 and 23-year-old kids to 26, 27, 28. They got a girl, they got a fiance, they got a wife, right?
Yeah.
Lot of folks right now. I don't know if it was COVID or what, but people are popping out babies, right? And so you probably know where this is going, but a lot of folks right now listening to the show, in all seriousness, their life is growing, their business is growing. A lot of us have been making more money. So many of us were just struggling 4, 5, 6 years ago. And there was some good economic headwind, for a lot of us as well. So we're all riding that wave a little. But life is getting bigger. Life is getting, more complicated. There's more distractions. There's more obligations. And so I've noticed because, take Launchpreneur Academy Live. Our live event just launched the other day. Tickets are selling like crazy. If you guys have not been to the event, you got to check it out in November. Well, I will say this. In 2019, a bunch of people came. It was a good time, right? 2019, a bunch of people are coming back. They were engaged, they were married. And then 2021, people are coming, they're engaged, they're married, they have a little baby on the way. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're becoming so many of your guys' friends. You guys are becoming our friends. Like this community of people. It's actually really cool, really special. Well, I'm noticing too, right before my eyes, Liz and I are going through the same boat. Like we're going through the exact same motions. We're all growing up together, right, in business and in life. And it's fun, but it's also weird because 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, quite honestly, I didn't know a single person that probably has ever heard my voice on YouTube or Instagram. I knew nobody in the community, nobody in the industry, nobody knew my name other than maybe my sales guy at my dealer, right? And so it's fascinating to see these millions of little like neuron type connections that we all have in the community, in the industry now because of social media and YouTube and the GIE Plus Expo and Launchpreneur Academy, right? And Together in the Trades. Well, Caleb, I want to ask you a couple questions and no right or wrong answers. I mean, just totally shooting it from the hip here, but you're somebody who has the largest business I know with, a young family, a growing family. You've been to hell and back with, financial, struggle, victory, right? And so I want to just see if you want to, impart some wisdom here to the young guys that are listening to the show that might be 26, 27, 28. They got a beautiful wife hanging off their arm, right? Or that girlfriend, right? They have a newborn baby or baby's 1, 2, 3 years old. And they're balancing all these different things. I mean, they're spinning 3 or 4 different plates, right? And there's rain days, there's hot days, there's equipment breakdown days, right? Because that's what I'm going through, for crying out loud. I don't know if you guys can relate, but I get done, when we get done and there's not a day where we don't have an employee issue, an equipment issue, a customer complains, it's just the business. It's just life. And I'm like, how do I balance this all? And then I got like social media stuff I do and a podcast I do. And it's like, bro, it's a lot. And so let me ask you this, Caleb, like you have 3 beautiful kids, Addison, Zeke, and Levi. You guys, decided to set some cool goals before you had kids, and you guys hit those goals, and it was really, really cool. But what's some of the biggest pearls of wisdom that you could tell, the young guy who's 27, he's got a beautiful wife. They've been married for 3 years. They have a little baby or a baby on the way. What's some like life lessons that you could maybe impart onto these guys that either A, you did really, really well, or B, that you humbly maybe goofed up on or messed up on or didn't prioritize that you would have loved to do it all over again, if you will, to impart that wisdom onto the next guy?
Here's something that just came to me, Brian, and I hope I can say this without choking up, actually. Think back or, look at a picture that you have with your grandma, your grandpa, your daughter, your son, your wife, your fiance, whatever, and look at that picture and think about that picture and then say, man, I sure wish I'd been working that day instead. And, and so work is so important. You have to be diligent with work, and you've got to be persistent. You've got to be intentional. But you mentioned guys having kids and stuff like that. Like, it is so critical you take the time with your children, especially, and your wife, especially, and all that stuff. So do your damnedest not to take that time for granted. So that's like the first thing I would say is, like, just think of those moments and realize you wouldn't rather be working, in that moment, not have that memory. Right. So take the time with your family, take the time with your loved ones, all that kind of stuff. After that, heavy drop there. That just came to my head. And fortunately, I don't have a lot of regrets like that. And we were really fortunate to go through all our really bad financial struggles and all that stuff while we were a lot younger, and we didn't have kids, thank the Lord. And so if you guys and gals out there that, you find yourself with kids and you're struggling, all that stuff, be persistent, be diligent, be intentional, all that kind of stuff. But, you're going to have to work your way through it, of course, but, don't miss out on the birthdays and, get up at 4 a.m. if you have to get things done, but, don't miss the important stuff in life. So that's like the first, that's heavy, Brian, right out the gate. Buddy. But, that's the big thing. First off, like, work is, you got to burn the midnight oil to make a company go, especially if you're starting out and even, you're hitting at year 3, and it's year 3 to 5 is like, that's that pivotal time of, like, where the company really should be making headway. And, it's an interesting observation. You said, like, you notice, like, a lot of the folks that are in the community, all their businesses are evolving and expanding and growing. And you yourself, you're about to open up a whole nother chapter in life, which is so cool. And, you won't wish, the photos I have of being, when all my kids were born, I don't look at those photos and think, man, I wish I was out plowing snow that night, and so try to look forward with that mentality of, like, yeah, Mr. Herfenherbler is going to be pretty freaking pissed that we're not there tonight or tomorrow or whatever. And by the way, it's things like that also are really important. Why, if you have a team around you or, guys that work for you, why it's important to be able to delegate, to them for emergencies and times like that, which is a big driver in my life, like, of trying to be there for my family when they need to be and all that stuff. So I've always tried to craft a company that I can pull away from if I need to for, a short amount of time. We're not set up like Corey Ballard, for example, or like those guys where we can pull away for, I would presume, a while if we needed to. Yeah. But, we can pull away for a little bit if we needed to. And I've always had that intention with my company. And it's easier to do that now than it ever has been, thank the Lord. But that's like my first heavy advice right out the gate is, all that memory stuff, and don't, nobody's on their deathbed wishing they'd work more, but at the same time, like, to get to that secure spot, you still got to work your tail off. There's no getting around it, but just make sure you prioritize the right way, going off the bat there first.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. How do you guys incorporate the family into what you guys do now? Maybe somebody's got a newborn or they're 1-2, and for sure, like, don't miss certain things. You don't want to be, a slave to the company, right? The company should be a slave to you, not the other way around. And so one thing that I've noticed with you guys, and I'm telling you guys straight up, listening to the show, like, I don't come top down on any of my content. There might have been like a window 3 years ago. I thought that's what you were supposed to do, was be the answer man, the guru. And I just learned from Gary Vee and a couple other people. Frankly, that's exhaustive. Nobody's top down. I mean, that's just, or nobody knows everything to be providing all those answers in life. I heard somebody say on Instagram or somewhere that I wish we all just had little bubbles over our head that we're all walking around that says, I don't know what I'm doing either. So I feel like
funny.
that was like the most funny thing I had heard in the last couple of weeks. And, but it's true, man. Like, it's true. Like, some people might have the financial puzzle piece more figured out. And there's, things you can learn and read and duplicate that have a fact pattern of success. Right. But at the end of the day, like, you still have to run a company. There's still obligations. There's still stress and whatnot. So if you have a newborn baby, I get it. Don't miss those important events. I love that. That's something that Liz and I have personally decided, like, hey, we're going to run really freaking hard the last 5 years. And we did. I mean, we put gobble money in the bank, some cash flow in businesses. Like, within about a week after this podcast probably comes out, we should be able to pay off our truck, which is the last debt that we own other than the Tesla. And I have a goal by Christmas to actually pay off the Tesla as well. And
man, that's awesome. Congrats. That's sweet.
I mean, we could thankfully write checks for both right now. We're just, padding stats, just being conservative. I mean, ultra conservative, like, hey, because that's just how we are. So I'm right there too. Like, people are like, well, you're never ready to have kids. I'm like, no. And my rebuttal was always, no, but I could also have $100,000 in the bank. And so I could be more prepared, and I wasn't trying to be like quick or witty or snotty back, but it's just sometimes the way people say things to you, outside looking in. Well, you guys are only getting older, like da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're broke, and I see how your kids act, so I'm not going to take any advice from you. And so I say all that to come full circle that one of the biggest blessings in Liz and I's life is to get to know so many of you guys listening in. And I am putting out content, not top down, but as a peer in the industry, as another folk that is just out there learning, struggling, try, failing, and adjusting. As our friend Jeff Joyner, that came to our motivational, or to our conference last year. He was our motivational speaker. That's what he said, try, fail, adjust. That's been my life statement. But listen, I've had the major blessing of getting around so many of you guys and learning like little nuggets, little tips in business and life and family. And you guys shoot me DMs and audio messages and video messages, and we're learning. And so one thing that's really been a huge blessing in our life is getting to know Caleb and Brittany. And I said this 2 years ago when I incorporated you guys into Entrepreneur Academy Live. I said, Liz and I have had this awesome opportunity to get to know this couple, and they're winning. Like, they're winning in business, they're winning with their family, and no, it's not a finished product yet. I mean, we're all on that road and that journey, right? But I love the way that you guys, at least exterior, at least outside looking in. I don't know, like behind the scenes, you could be like an awful person, Caleb, but I don't think so. I don't think so, because we've spent enough time with you. I've seen you tired. I've seen you hungry.
Hungry's not good. That's bad, Caleb.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, then you start to get to know people. You get to start having private conversations with people, and then you get around their kids. And I've heard somebody say, like, if you get around the kids, it's a best reflection of who their parents are, right? So if I come over and Addison's freaking out, or Zeke's freaking out, or there's not listening, or there's disobedience, or there's rebellion, then maybe mommy and daddy need to work on a couple different things. I'm not saying you guys are perfect or a finished product by any means, but I'm really impressed with who you guys are as a family. And to Liz and I, like, believe it or not, guys, as much as you think we work hard, like, Liz and I are number one to each other. First off, to, God. Number two, to our family. And then number three is our country and our business, right? So we've never got those priorities really that far out of whack, even when we were hitting it that hard, the last 3-4 years running both companies and figuring everything out, because I didn't want this thing to implode along the way. So a lot of words just to say, Liz and I really respect what you and Brittany are doing in business and with your family. And so a lot of words just to say, how have you guys best found to incorporate your kids and keep this thing lighthearted? And, hey, mommy and daddy have to work late this week, or mommy and daddy have to go out of town, or something like that. Like, how have you best found that works for your family? And then number two, if somebody's trying to incorporate their kids and, of course, their spouse more into the company, what can they do that you guys have found works for you?
I'll tell you, Brian, and thanks for the kind words. And it's mutual, by the way. I think the kids say game respects game. I think so.
Real respects real.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So
I learned that from Naylor.
That back at you, whatever that means. I'm not sure, but ask somebody young, maybe they can tell you. I tell you, man, I don't even know. I don't even really know what to say. It's like, we just know, obviously with like biblical principles of like teaching something as simple as just like the principles of like the 10 Commandments, for example, right? And that kind of stuff of like just an overarching, message to the whole family of how we're going to act and how we're going to behave and treat others and, try to be a good citizen and all that kind of stuff. So then like, tonight, for example, like I missed to be on the podcast here, I missed, tuck in to bed time at 9:00. So, tomorrow the compromise is like, hey, I've got to do a work thing at 9:00 tonight, but let's do Pancake Saturday tomorrow morning instead on what would be Thursday. And so we just constantly shift compromises. We make compromises of time, right? And so like if we've got to work late or we're working out of town, hey, we just always explain to the kids when it comes to kids, because the kids are like our number one priority in life. And probably nearly to a detriment to Britt and I's relationship. We always just put the children first, and probably something we need to work on. We actually, frankly, don't. And this is something, hell, we learned it together in a trades and event we hosted, mind you, with you. That Britt and I don't give each other enough time, and we try to give each other enough time. Now we work in the business together, yes, and we spend a lot of time together, but we don't spend a lot of outside the business time together, and we're working on that. And that's a long process, man, trying to reprioritize, and it's tough with 3 kids and 3 companies, essentially, like you said, multiple businesses like you folks run. And, it's tough. And if you're just growing a company or you're working, your lawn care or landscape things, your side gig and your side hustle, so you can take it full time, like it is tough to prioritize the time. I totally understand it. And Britt and I are, like I said, not a finished product. Britt and I are constantly, trying to, we go through some, we started talking about that, we started talking about that with the dump truck earlier. It's like, I made pretty much a $17,000 mistake with the stupid truck. Sure. And like Britt doesn't hold that over my head. But like, we'll fight about petty stuff, which is what's funny is like, we'll fight for 4 days about where a form should go in the office on the wall. You know what I mean? So
I heard that episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny, like, and that's good, right? Because it's like, if we were to hold, real mistakes over each other's head, that would be toxic and not good, right? And if you got that kind of situation going on, you need to work that out with professional help, or reading and praying and all that kind of stuff. That if your relationship has that kind of stuff going on, and yeah, Britt and I still will fight about some serious stuff now and then, but like we've just made it a goal of like, divorce isn't an option. Like we're going to stick this thing out. Britt says, well. she jokes with us like that divorce is for quitters. So, we're going to stick this thing out no matter what, it seems like. So, but really to come back to it, like with the kids and when we put work in place of family time, like we're going to make up for it somehow. We're going on vacation in a couple weeks and we might take off a day early just because, and we just tell the kids like, hey, we work really hard so that we can, have some nicer things finally. And that's one thing I wrestle with is like, this is kind of a side tangent of like, my kids are going to have stuff I never dreamt of having when I was a kid,
right? Right.
And I really want to make sure, and part of that is what molded me into what I am now. Right. And so like, I just want to make sure my kids aren't ever entitled or feel entitled or spoiled or anything like that. And they understand what it's like to drive a crappy first car and pay for it themselves and that kind of stuff. Like, I really wrestle with how we're going to do that because, like, the kids have tablets and,
right.
stuff that I would never dream of having. It's really, I guess, like common standard of living things now. But it's like, and hopefully, and I've asked you that question of like, how do you plan on like raising your kids to appreciate what it's like to actually not have? And it's not like we're the Jeff Bezos over here on the hill, right? It's like,
right.
But it's just little things that are funny to me. Like, we stayed in one vacation home that wasn't as nice as the previous one. And my kids were like, well, it's not as nice as the other house. And it's like, when I was a kid growing up, that either of those places were the Taj Mahal.
Right. Right.
And it's like, and so just trying to temper that and learn, and try to just make sure we teach our kids to grow up to be gracious and appreciative, which is the same word. I'm getting redundant here. But like, and I'm ears to anybody that's got input there. And I'll tell you, that's one thing Britt's family did really well with her. She grew up, comfortable, I would say. But like, it's the same time, like when her and I were completely broke together, like they didn't help us out a bit. And it was because they loved us so much. They knew that we had to learn the struggle. It's the most amazing thing when I look back on it, because they could have bailed us out any moment, right?
Right.
But they loved us enough to let us fall flat on our face, and they were always there with advice and love and kindness and all this stuff. But they let us. I mean, there were winters we didn't have the heat on in the house except 2 rooms, and just hover the house about 60 degrees when we lived in a rental house. Actually, that we rented from them. But like they let us live through that, and they could have been like, "No, we'll cover your heating bills and stuff." You know what I mean? But no, they let us struggle like that because it taught us humility and appreciation, right? Yeah, and perseverance, right? And so, like, I hope that when my kids, I hope that I have that kind of perspective. To like, some struggle is okay. It molds you into like who you need to become as a functioning and proper citizen. So, Brian, that's like a long way around. And I don't even know if I answered any of your question at all.
No,
but it's
good.
like, but yeah, so the goal is just to raise good citizens, good kids, and good God-fearing Christians, right? So, like, I mean, that's the MO at the Auman house. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, right? So,
right.
Dude, that's the overarching goal, I guess.
Well, let me interject here because I saw I don't even know, man. Like we all consume so much content, right? Whether it's a 10-second Instagram reel or some YouTube video that gets promoted to us, and you're like, man, I'm so busy, but I got 4 minutes. That's how YouTube. I don't care who you are. You're just like, I got 3 minutes on Instagram or YouTube, and I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I know y'all got time because y'all send me so much stupid stuff too. Okay, so I send gun stuff to so many of you guys. Some of you guys send car stuff to me because you're car guys. Other of you guys send watch stuff to me because you're in the watches. I'm in the watches, and so every day I got 6 extra DMs of cars, watches, yachts, boats, helicopters, and then like 100 regular DMs. And so it takes an hour and a half just to get through this stuff, and then I start getting the conversations with 30 people at once, and I'm like, okay, I just got to put the phone down, right? But I say all that just to say that I the other day, or not the other day, but a while ago, I should say, I saw on Instagram once that somebody had said, don't give your kids what you didn't have. Give them the thought process that you wish you had. Don't give your kids stuff that you didn't have. It's not going to fix the problem. Like, of course you want to bless your kids and give them nice stuff. Like you said, Caleb, like staying at a Hilton hotel is like your guys' new normal for $200 a night. Versus maybe camping for $25 a night at the KOA, right?
Right.
But
or Motel 6. Or
yeah.
ask Brittany the story when her and I were broke, and we drove to Oklahoma, and we stayed in I think it was Forest City, Arkansas, in the sketchiest motel you've ever seen. And I would get pizza and left an AK-47 with Britt to watch, because that's how I used to travel, because I was a gangster like that. And I was like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I left her that thing, and I went and got pizza and came back. And like, we've done all that crazy stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Liz and I have been our fair share of spent the night at a truck stop in the car. I remember one time we were doing something, I don't even remember, but we were dating. We're going 100 miles an hour, right? We were visiting some friends, and we had pulled off to the side of the road at a gas station truck stop, and we left the car running and with the air on. We woke up about 4 hours later, went to bed about 3 a.m., woke up at 7 a.m. to a big semi truck, just boom, 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 going through, and we both woke up and we were like, what the hell is that? What is going on? Sun's kind of coming up, and I'm like, Liz, we just fell asleep for like 4 hours, bro. Like, what are we doing right now? We're at this random truck stop. We've done all that stuff, like the broke, crazy road trips, coming to business conferences like Entrepreneur Academy or Together in the Trades, like all that kind of stuff. We've paid those same dues, but my point is,
Brian, you know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
When Liz was presenting with you presenting it Together in the Trades, and you and I, we were all talking one night, in the hotel, and we're like, yeah, well, I was so broke we did this. I was so broke we did this. And then Liz was like, it's I don't know who said it, but like, well, yeah, we were broke. We were stupid. You know,
We were stupid
that
too.
was the funniest. That was probably the funniest line of the whole day, other than Sean Spencer saying he anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I cut you off. Anyways, that made me think of that. Like,
Well,
not only we broke, we were stupid too. That's probably something I said, because I was.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting for the episode of Auman's Exposed, right? But the true love story, right? But I say all that just to say, like, I saw this Instagram reel and it was like, don't give your kids the stuff that you didn't have. Give them the thought process that you didn't have. And that's always stuck with me, because I've told Liz like the same thing. I said, and she hates when I talk this way, and I'm sure Brittany does too, but I always tell her, hey, if I ever get hit by a bus, okay, just give my kids my content. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm not narcissistic or egotistical. I'm just saying my podcast, everybody's got a great podcast out there. I'm not saying anything bad or good. You know, everybody's got a great podcast. I just said, if my kids listen to my podcast alone, and they take not about lawn care, but the business advice, the business principles, the spiritual, I've baked so much stuff into this podcast, whether you guys know it or not. I mean, it's funny, like the more mature, the more wise you get, the more you have ears to hear and eyes to see, you start realizing there's a lot of good stuff baked in this thing. And from the guests to the questions we ask, it's very intentional. I'm not a hero. I love interviewing people. It's something that I feel like I've been called to do a little bit. I just told her, give my kids my content, not because I'm the guru, but because the content has the answers. And there's no way, in my opinion, that you can't chisel out a 6-figure income doing anything with, I mean, anything. Go sell roofing, go do real estate, go run a green industry company in 24 to 36 months, $100,000 a year. Because, and I'm going to write a whole book on this later, but I want to give my kids the breadcrumbs, my kids the pathway to figuring this stuff out if I'm not here, because I can't rely on my brothers or sister-in-law, my mom, my other friends or family. Like, nobody I know is making great money. And I don't want my kids to get stuck with not knowing what I've had to put in my brain the last 15 years and them having to restart the poverty cycle. Like, I don't want my kids to have to go through that. So the reason we do the YouTube videos and the podcast, yes, it's to help. Yes, it's to entertain. Yes, it's to educate. Yes, it's to help you guys grow. But I keep saying I'm here to give the Brian Fullerton of 10 to 15 years ago the cookie crumbs to help him become successful. But, you know, man, Caleb, the older I get, and the fact that when Liz and I realized that we got pregnant, which was extremely exciting and extremely freaking me out, right? I said, you said it wasn't supposed to happen for a couple more months. You know, that whole conversation, right? And she goes, well, get ready because it's coming in 8.5 more months. I'm like, okie dokie. I've now realized too that I want to make sure that I'm even more intentional to make sure that I'm leaving something back for my kids, right? Thought process, and of course money, and hopefully some material goods, and hopefully they can start at level 10 when I had to start at -5 or whatever you want to call it, right?
And two, Brian, time and love. I mean, those are the kids got to have that too. We can't. That's kind of the obvious, but just to say it, you know.
Yeah.
Time. I mean, just playing trucks with the boys, that means more to them than me. I tell you, they could, if they don't know what it's like to go to, you know, Santa Maria Island, Florida, but I played trucks with them every evening. Right. That time means more to them than some fancy trip somewhere.
Amen.
So don't forget that, everybody.
No.
And I think back at camping trips that my mom is just like appalled that we didn't have money to go, you know, do something fancy. And I think back on those camping trips with the fondest of memories.
They were the best times. They were the best times.
Exactly.
It was family.
Exactly, man. And Brian, makes me think too on my headstone, and you too, your gravestone. Listen to these 5 episodes, and you'll understand me, right?
Well,
maybe I need to come up with a list of like, yeah, watch these 2 videos and these 3 podcasts, and you'll understand me. I hope. Anyway, right?
Yeah, I just leave it there. Fullerton Unfiltered or Kid Contractor Podcast. That's good stuff. Well, and so that's the kind of stuff that is more important to me than just making green stinky paper like you're talking about. I mean, this podcast episode is a little bit different. Maybe you guys are new to the show. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show. Welcome to the jungle. But a lot of the other episodes are about business and, you know, X's and O's and all that stuff. You know, Caleb, one thing that I think, and I knew, and here's how I got to know you really, really well in about 12 seconds or less, is when I came down to your guys' place about 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was. Remember like it was yesterday. We were talking in the kitchen for 2 hours. We went on the outside of the property. It
was longer than that. I think it was most of the day. I'm like, yeah, that was crazy. That's cool.
We probably planted it in your kitchen for about 4 hours, realistically. I came down there. I think I got there around noon. We were there for about 4 hours. I'm like, hey, I got to get back home. I said, I got about an hour to film a video. You want to do some stuff? And what happened after that was just insane. Like, you guys built this whole patio in about 12 minutes. It was epic. But I just remember, and I don't know why this stuck out to me, but things stick to you, right? And we were outside for a quick minute, and you were working on something, changing something. And whatever it was you had pulled out a torque wrench, and you were adjusting something on lug nut, and you were teaching, I think, one of your kids for just a quick second, like, how to do it. And you were like, you want to tighten it a certain way, and then you want to put 2 fingers on it and just kind of clamp it down, but not too tight. And you said, like, hey, that's something that my dad taught me. And I said, hey, where did you learn how to do that? And you said, well, it's something that my old man taught me. And you kind of like choked up for like a half a second. And I was like, damn, dude, like I didn't even know you, right? I'm just like, man, this guy's got some reverence and some respect and some appreciation and some admiration about his father. And as somebody who lost her dad at 16 years old, I didn't get to learn one iota of practical life skills, literally from anybody, until Google came on, the planet, and then YouTube. And I just think about Addison and Zeke and Levi and the stuff that you're able to teach them that your dad taught you. I mean, imagine where they're going to be at 15, 18, 20 years old. I mean, it's incredible stuff.
Well, I tell you, not to sound like I think I'm Mother Teresa or Mahatma Gandhi or try to be too altruistic, but I mean, that's one of the biggest whys of why I get on the internet, on Instagram and stories and share so much stuff. It's not because I've been so smart and learned it. Most of it was showed to me by my dad. And I consider it such a blessing that I kind of, I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right way to word it. I've never said it this way before. Like, I think I'd be doing a disservice to not pass it on. I guess I'll say it that way.
Sure.
And for the guys that didn't have that blessing, and that's probably my biggest why. I lost my dad 11 years ago. So, yeah, that's really the biggest driver of like why I try to share such, I guess, value-based stuff of like construction, and Dad was just a handy dude. Like he was really a sharp guy, and yeah, daggone.
Well, I remember doing a video about a year ago, and I put on some lug nuts backwards on my lawnmower. I don't know if you happen to see that one, but
oh yeah, I heard about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I had about 85,000 subscribers, and I put the lug nuts on backwards on one of my 0-turn mowers, and it was funny because the actual shear pins, or not the shear pins, but the lugs that the bolts go on, the lug nuts go on, sheared right off. Lost 2 of those, and the caliper and the whole drum, and then of course the wheel, because a 1-piece wheel was $800, and then another or $650 or whatever it was, and I think the whole bill came out to like $825, and it was like, you got to be kidding me. And now Xmark sent me those wheels, right, for free, and I was very thankful for that. And so I got this like catch-22. Do I put a new rim on, or do I take them both off and just go put on the air tires? And they weren't like paying me to promote them. They just gave them to me. They actually like just last minute kind of threw them my way. And I said, thank God, I'll take them. So I decided to put them back on, and I was like, I wonder how many people don't know this. And it was really interesting because, I put that video on YouTube. It was like 8 minutes long. It wasn't anything fancy. I was like, hey guys, messed up. Had a $900 bill. I'm stupid. And I put that on the internet, and I had, there's probably 400 to 600 comments saying, how did you not know this? How did you not know this? You're such a rube. You're such a doofus. Like, you're such an idiot. Like, the guy runs a YouTube channel, doesn't even know how to, runs a lawn care company, doesn't even know how to put lug nuts on. This guy's giving out advice. Who does he think he is? Like, this is the dumbest man in the room. And I said, I said, you're right. And I said, as somebody who lost their father at 16 years old, I didn't get to learn that lesson. because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. You know, most kids get to learn that at 10, 12, 15 years old when they get to be in the shop wrenching on a truck with their dad. And, you know, the interesting thing out of the 400 to 600 comments, probably about another 150 to 200 people commented. I didn't know that either.
Right.
And so, you know, be thankful for the thought process you do have out there. I said, but you also got to realize there's a lot of people that didn't get to grow up with that.
Right.
And it's not how to put on a lug nut. It's they didn't get time with their dad, whether dad was there or whether dad wasn't there.
Right.
And I don't mean physically.
Yeah.
I mean there as a father.
Right.
And so, so for some of you guys listening in, man, that's always stuck with me. I'm like, you know, I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know a lot about a lot of other stuff either. And it sucks because guess what? I get to be the bigger brother to my little brother. And I'm put in a leadership role, like a family, you know, just a patriarchal, you know, like just I'm middle. My older brother's legally blind, so he's not really number one. I'm kind of number one. I didn't know things. My brother's asking me questions in life. I don't know either. I had to learn these things. And I told Liz, I'm like, I just want to learn more things so I can try to take some of that pain away from our kids. And of course, like you said, Caleb, they gotta earn their own stripes, right?
Yeah.
But I just remember watching you put on that lug nut, and I'm like, you have no idea what it was. It was just like I don't even know how to describe it, like the irony of the situation. And I was like, you know, I remember Caleb torque wrenching on a lug nut in front of little Zeke or Levi, whatever it was, probably Zeke, and learning that. And I'm like, huh. I said, that's so cool. Like, to me, it was so cool because I'm like, you know, that's some fatherly love. That's Caleb being a dad. And I'm like, that is so freaking cool to me. And so, I don't know why I remembered that, but that story always kind of like stuck in my brain. And then, you know, I find myself a year later putting on a lug nut backwards, and I'm like, you know, my kid's never going to do that. And because I'm going to take the time to teach him or her. And so, I don't know where that story came from, but it was one that I was just like, you know, to me, it was just a great lesson that I could pass out there. Cause I don't know, man, it's just funny how things work out. But, Caleb, I'd keep it a little bit more.
Brian, you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know what people don't, you know, people don't know what they don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And you don't know what people don't know. So just share the information. It can be basic as can be. I mean, I remember a while ago, I was talking about a plumb bob. I was finding, you know, we had some elevated structure, and we're trying to find where that point dropped down on the ground, like a roof line, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, well, we've got a plumb bob here to see, and it's a string with a brass pointer on the bottom, about the size of a big fat Sharpie marker, let's say, and it's called a plumb bob. And I got so many DMs from young guys that said I didn't know what that was, and it's like that's such basic knowledge to me. And again, just a reminder of like, man, it doesn't, I don't want to say over explain things because you don't want to patronize your audience ever, but like, you know, it's like share everything, man. Like you don't know the feedback you get is crazy of what you're helping somebody learn. And it can be the most trivial of things. It's crazy. You know, it's just what you may think is trivial, frankly. And then, you know, I put myself in the same shoe of like, you know, my brother tries to teach me the most basic of computer stuff, and I'm completely illiterate. And he's like, how do you not know this? And it's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. Right.
Right.
Know? So it's like, you have to have that humility, right? To like, you know, just accept you don't know things. And, you know, so if you know some stuff, you know, share it. Make sure you know what you're talking about at the same time too. Don't guess at stuff and put it out there as fact, but
right.
You know, whatever. But dude, that's all awesome stories. And it's cool that you share that stuff, man. And I think you never know. I say that's why it's so important to always not always be on your best behavior, but like you never know who's watching what, and especially with your kids. And you know, Dave Ramsey, they say, or his daughter Rachel Cruz, you know, I got this from her, but you know, more is caught than taught, and your kids pick up a lot. And I'll tell you, your crewmen too, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, your crew that works with you, they see you pick up a piece of trash in the front yard, or they see you mow over it. You know, what do you think your crew is going to do if they see you run over a piece of trash with a mower? or you shut down and pick it up. You shut the machine down, pick that trash up.
Right.
Like, you never know what is going to catch people, and, set an example, let's say. And so, you always got to do the right thing, right? So you never know who's watching, and it doesn't matter. Do it. What is it? They say honesty and integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking.
Yep.
Right. So anyways, whatever. All those cliches.
Yeah, I always say, like, be kind first. I tell Liz all the time, like, the rookie mistake is the thing, negative first and positive second. And that goes with anything.
Yeah.
The service tech didn't show up to fix your car or something like that. It's probably because of this or that or something. Whatever. It's like your brain just goes a billion. At least mine does. I don't know about you guys, but mine goes a billion miles a second, thinking, "Oh my god, no. It's bad, negative, and just whining, complaining, and then, they realize, like the reason they were 2 minutes late to something is because they actually stopped. They got me a coffee, and then they actually wanted to go get this part that would make it twice as good, and And I'm like, dang, now I feel like an idiot. So it's like, it's like everywhere you go, love on people, be kind on people. I heard another one say, like, everybody should just be wearing a sign over their neck that says "Love me" or something like that. It was something like just "Love me" or "I need love," something like that. And it just, man, I'm telling you, and you just put that out in the world, and not everybody reciprocates that way. That's cool. That's fine. Not to be all kumbaya. But you know what? The people that are buttheads to me, I love them. I love on them back. Sometimes I'll be a butthead back, but you just try to kill them with kindness, as they say. Caleb, let me ask you this. Here's the last question I got for you, because we'll button it up, because I really, really appreciate your time. And I
just looked at time. Holy cow. I'm fine with time, but holy cow, we've been going a minute here.
Well, it turns into the black hole, doesn't it? Where
it does, buddy.
5 minutes turns into an hour and a half. But it's always fun. As a guy who mows grass, morning, day, and night, like so many of you guys listening into the show, I appreciate podcasts because, man, I know it sounds weird, but I can like turn my brain off, let my physical body go mow. And then I kind of like look back up at my phone. It's 4 p.m. and we just mowed 30 lawns and, made $900. So podcasts like occupy.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. They keep my mind preoccupied is what I should say. But let me ask you this, last quick thing. And it can be about each kid, or it could just be a general thought process in general. But what's the one biggest thing that you hope your kids learn from mommy and daddy? Like, what's the one thing that you guys want to make sure that you pass on to them?
Golly. I mean, on my side, Britt's side of the family is, well-respected family names for being, not necessarily like wealthy or rich or anything, but, they're honest, like, oh, they're good people. And I suppose that's probably, if we had to sum it up as one thing of like, oh, that's a good family. That's good. That's a good family name. Or like, oh, they're good. Oh, you're in some transaction with them. They're good folks. They're going to do you right. And I suppose that's probably if I had to sum it up in some quick, I mean, I could expound on that for 25 minutes, but I suppose at the end of the day, it's like, oh, they're good folks. You're good to go.
They're good people. So be somebody that's honorable, somebody that has a reputation, or your reputation precedes you.
Honestly, just the biggest thing is just trying to make sure that the kids, Jordan Peterson, one of the 12 rules for life is always tell the truth, or at least don't lie. And, I think that's the biggest thing of like, your word counts for something, and you damn sure better make sure that when you say something, people can take it to the bank. That's a big deal to me.
That is.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's such a big deal to me, but I don't know. That just is such a big deal to me. Of when I say something, I freaking mean it, and that's a double-edged sword. If you say something a little harsh, you would have rather worded differently. It's a little rough.
Oh yeah.
But like,
oh yeah.
But so that sword cuts both ways, of course. But like, I'd rather have it that way, of course, than like, I know guys that say stuff and you're like, you can't ever believe fully, like, if that's the full truth or not. But I sure hope that my reputation and my kids' reputation is what they said is what they meant, and you can bank on it. So,
amen.
Love God and be honest and integral, and live with integrity and purpose. I mean, that's just kind of the overarching. Hopefully the mantra or the maxim of the family, right? Like that's our coat of arms, let's say.
Well, the reason I ask all these questions, of course, is to learn and glean and take notes. I've got my phone in front of me like you do probably. Well, I know you do when you interview guests, and when you're the interviewee, you're like, man, just don't mess this up, right? So at least that's how I feel every time I talk. I'm like, don't say anything stupid.
I literally, dude, I will write out whoever I'm interviewing with. I've got actually my big notepad out here. And it literally will say the most basic of things in case I have a brain fart. It literally says Fullerton Unfiltered on the thing in case I forget like what I'm even doing. Dumb.
Your name is Caleb. Yeah. My name is Caleb.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hi, Brittany wife. Yeah, and then the kid's name. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, it's one of those things where you guys listen to the podcast. It's like Lawns Lessons Life. We try to help you with the actual X's and O's. We talk to you about business and everything that we got going on, you guys got going on. We talk about life. I mean, we talk about relationships and marriage, and I get Liz on the show as much as we can. So you guys can maybe glean or learn. And here's the thing. We're not trying to preach. We teach, but we're not even really trying to teach. We're trying to model. And I want to be, like you said, Caleb, honorable, and somebody that can be pointed to as an example. Right. And so a lot of this conversation, comes full circle to two things. One, we're having a baby. We're having a baby any minute now. By the time this podcast comes out, we might already have the baby. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't even understand how excited Britt is for that, by the way. She is like wound up for you folks. I don't know what her deal is. She's a mom of 3 kids. I guess no, she's not going to have any more babies. So I think she's living vicariously through you folks. I don't know. I don't fully get that. I'm excited for you. Don't get me wrong. But like Britt's like, she's like, we're going to Michigan like as soon as Liz says we can. I'm like, oh, whatever. Okay,
right.
Fine.
It's like the good old like, are you excited? Yes. Well, can you notify your face? Okay. For the dudes out there, you know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But last thing I'll say is for me personally, I've been really thinking about this whole pregnancy, like the last 8-9 months. I'm like, wow, like where we came from, where we're starting. Like, so I think it was. I was talking to a friend of ours. He's helped me run some Facebook ads. And I was just telling him my life and my macro and everything we got going on. And he goes, man, like, I don't think you really understand, like, what you guys got going on right now. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. We're just working, right? And he was like, dude, like, you got to realize, like, your baby is going to come into this world that's, like, insane. Like, she's going to go home in a Tesla to a beautiful little rental condo to building a beautiful home and riding 4-wheelers and having, like, her normal is going to be like crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I never really thought about that. Like, I probably, was right there next to, the past, the hand-me-down, manger that, that Jesus was born in. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the 2000 or the 1986 version of that. I was definitely born in the back of a shed or an outhouse or the inn. You know what I'm saying, Caleb? But humble beginnings for our family too. But it was something really cool. The last quick story was, about, 2 weeks ago, I was Googling like a bunch of family lineage stuff, and I'm gonna write a book one day about all this kind of thing, this whole topic. I think I've even shared this with the Aumans, but I was going back, like looking up my last name, and it's really cool. If you guys have never done this, like I really encourage you to just go on Google, go to Ancestry or whatever.com, all these different places, and just start looking up like your last name and see like where your family came from. And like I found that like our last name came from like Scotland or something, and we had like the coat of arms, and it was what was it, like Lux S Enabres or something like that. It was I'm butchering it, but it was light in the darkness, and I was like, whoa, like the Fullerton clan, and all this stuff, and
right, yeah,
and it was really, really interesting. Like the more you get into it, right? And so, Lux S Tenebris or something like that was the Latin, and I just thought it was like light in the darkness, and I'm like, that's like literally what I feel like every day. Like the last 10, 15 years, ever since like I had the scales dropped from my eyes, and I had the ears to hear and the eyes to see about a bunch of things, right? And I'm like, that's what the podcast is about. We're trying to shed light. We're trying, I heard somebody say, and I'll butcher it, but some spiritual guy, he was saying that like there's no amount of darkness that can overcome light, right? Like light overcomes darkness. It's not the other way around. Like you don't have a room full of light and darkness, covers the light. You have a candle and it'll light up the darkest room. And so darkness flees. And if you think about, walking into a dark bedroom with a light or a flashlight or a candle, and you walk in there, even though very dim, obviously, it illuminates the whole room. And it just got me thinking, like, man, like we are bestowed upon that. Like that is like that's our mission. That's what I'm charged with. And I'm thinking like all these crazy, cool, fun thoughts of like, what is our family? What is our family name? And then, you look at what your family was 10, 12, 15, 20 generations ago. And like, it's been that the whole time. And then you get this mission in you. And now you get all excited about this stuff. And then you're going to hold this little precious 6, 7, 8 pound baby. And you're like, oh my God, like I can't wait to put some good stuff into this thing and not mess it up. Right. And so I'm having all these high level thoughts and conversations, and the reality is hitting me like any minute now I'm about to be a father, or, a dad, obviously, to a born baby. And it's just crazy, dude. I'm having the time of my life. I'm like freaking out and also excited. One of those deals. Right. So I just want to get somebody on the podcast that I absolutely respect, and we love hearing you guys' thoughts. And I just kind of shoot it from the hip, a little bit different style of podcast for you guys listening in, that sometimes we like to get deep. And to me, this is the conversation that actually matters, like, hey, if your business sucks, raise your prices and cut out the crap. I mean, you could do 300 episodes, but raise prices, cut out the crap, and watch your costs and do a good job. Okay. There's podcasts. Okay. We're done. Now let's talk about the stuff that actually matters, like faith and family and business and relationships and legacy. Like that's the fun conversation. And so, that was at least my MO with this podcast. So, Caleb, we super appreciate you sharing and gleaning a little bit of wisdom and insight. And, thank you for your time, man. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'll tell you one other thing. And like, if you're, for anybody out there, and let's say your family doesn't have like an illustrious history or whatever, like it's not too late to start that yourself. Like you can make your family name honorable, or like, that benchmark of, in 20 years, it's like, man, John really turned the corner there and really made something respectable of their family or whatever. I'm just saying, for like anybody that's in the darkest of places, like it's not too, or even just yourself, like it's not, you can become that benchmark, right? And that foundational cornerstone, right? And the rock that other people lean on. Like you can make that decision to be that leader, right? And I think, and I've heard it in your podcast from a while ago, you're talking about like, being that foundational, leader of the family, right? Like, it's quite the charge, but what other option do you have, right? Like, what other choice is there? You're going to be just the person that just gets, is not the go-to, Jordan Peterson, again, I reference this guy so much, but it's like, you want to be the strongest person at the funeral. You want to be the go-to person at the funeral, right? Like, you don't want to be the person sobbing in the corner that's a train wreck. You want to be the steadfast member of the family that everybody can go to if they have some issue, right?
Yep.
And like that is the, I'm not saying there's not a time for mourning and all that crap, but like, like you have to be that rock. So, and I don't care if you're the husband or wife or whatever, like, every family needs that go-to. So you can do that, Awesome. Brian, awesome podcast, man. This is cool.
Yeah. Something a little bit different, I by the way, I heard, I spent a lot of time on Instagram. I actually don't mind it. Liz and I spend a lot of time on the internet. Like we love it. Like it's been a double-edged sword, like you can, it works both ways, but I love consuming content, and I wouldn't have access to a lot of this stuff anywhere else. But I saw one the other day. It was just like a quick, fun, little meme. It was either you'll come from a wealthy family or a wealthy family will come from you, like one of those deals, right? And man, like you said, Caleb, it's like you're funneling all this in to basically, send it back out, and right. So one thing that I heard. I don't know if it was Les Brown or one of those old school guys, but he was screaming something at YouTube once, a video from like 2009, the early days of YouTube. And he was saying like, there's going to be that photo hanging over the mantle, and 3, 4, 5 generations from now, there could be a painting over that mantle of you. And or an
EFT nowadays, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, a little hologram spinning on a 360, right? Probably scan my whole body and brain up there, and the whole deal, like the head in the jar thing, But that's the thing. Like, somebody's going to be on that mantle, And it could be you, it could be a brother-in-law, it could be an uncle, it could be anybody, but it could be you too, where somebody says, hey, who is that? And hey, that's great grandpa, Brian Fullerton. He was the first Fullerton to get his shit together in, 400 years. And, there was only like 13 or 16 people between, them and when we left the clan of Scotland, but
Right.
But nobody overcame themselves for 600 years. Nobody put their flag in the ground and fixed the family's finances and fixed, alcoholism and addictions and broken relationships. Nobody. By the way, newsflash to you: you're in a battle in life. I mean, nobody gets out of this thing alive, and everywhere around you is. Not to get heavy, but it's spiritual warfare 24/7, 365. And so you have to gird yourself up. Like Caleb, you said, like, what other option is there? I don't know. One is lose. The other one is win. To me, there's only one option. It's win. Like lose or quit has been like removed from our vernacular. Like that's nothing. Right. Like my kids won't even know that word exists. The word quit, and so to me, I'm just thinking to myself, I told Liz the other day, I'm like, because we're designing this house and this mantle and all this crap, right? And she's like, what do you want over there? I'm like, she's like, you want a big like 80-inch TV? I go, no. I said, we're not big TV people anyway. She goes, yeah, I know. I'm just testing you. Because that's what Liz does. But I said, I would love to have like some massive, like beautiful, expensive commissioned painting of Liz and I or something when we're 40s or 50s or 60s up there, on the high back red leather chair, right? One of those deals, and the patriarch, and
I like it.
And I said, imagine if you had 3 or 4 kids and they had 3 or 4 kids and they had 3 or 4 kids. I said, you're only 2-3 generations away from changing everything about a family business, a family legacy. And it's not the material stuff. It's the thought process. And so I know you guys listening and you're like, man, the weed whip's out of gas. I got to head back to the trailer. I get it. Like we're working, we're going 100 miles an hour. Some people are listening and like, how does he know? How does he know I'm walking back in the field?
Yeah. Oh, we hit the siding. Oh God. Yeah. Right.
So this is just one of those conversations where my brain doesn't stop. It goes 100 miles an hour, 24. I wake up and I'm just, and Liz is like, you're exhausting me. Like, just go away, go talk to somebody. And because I just think about all this stuff in the last couple of weeks and months, it's been about the baby and the family and the legacy and da-da-da-da-da. And so all this stuff was in on my mind. And I told Liz, I'm like, I'm doing a podcast with Caleb. I'm like, he's the only one that's going to like connect, relate, resonate, and keep up. I'm going to go brain dump on Caleb for an hour and a half. She's like, you're not going to give him any notes? I said, nope. She goes, that's rude. I go, yeah, I don't know. I said, the better conversations always come without notes, in my opinion. So anyway, Caleb, that's what I got, man. I don't know if this was a fun time for you, but I really appreciate it.
It didn't go where I expected, but I love this. I love this stuff. I love talking about this stuff and trying to encourage people and myself, by the way, to continue to fight the good fight and regardless of what the mainstream culture says, do the right thing anyways, right? Like,
Amen.
That, and it's tough, but everyone knows what is right? I think in their heart of hearts, and you just have to do it.
Yeah. Well, nobody's a hero for fighting the current culture and rebelling, because the current culture is nothing but rebellion and chaos. And so if you want to actually fight the good fight, be a difference maker out there, and you want to actually stick it to somebody or be counterculture or, be a rebellious person, be a good freaking person and be somebody who wins and succeeds. Because that's what this culture, that is the most anti-culture that you have on right now, is being a good person, helping people, being kind, loving on people, unifying people. There's no, you're not rebellious if you're trying to stick it to the man, because, hey, all of the culture right now is stick it to the man, that kind of conversation. So I used to play video games, Caleb, where, like you play a video game, you learn the lay of the land, and, you can be the good team or the bad team, and everybody picks the bad team. And because it's more fun, right? It's more fun. But then I realized playing the game, it was more fun to be the good guy beating the bad guys. I said it was so much more fun because the bad guys thought they were the best. But then I happened to play this game and I was really, really good. And I just spent all day long beating the bad guys, and the bad guys never won. And it was just 10 times more fun being the good guy out there. and you might get made fun of, and you think you're on like the vanilla team or the softy team or whatever. But it's more fun being the good guy. It's more fun raising a beautiful family, taking care of your family, taking care of your kids, and leaving a legacy out there than it is to just be selfish and honestly throw so many things away and down the drain. So I don't know. You guys listen to this episode, we get heavy sometimes. It was one of those kind of episodes, but I like changing it up and throwing you guys some curveballs. And so if you guys enjoyed the show, let us know. Maybe share it on Instagram, tag Caleb and I. And if you guys want to follow Caleb, I highly encourage you to do so. He's somebody that I absolutely respect, appreciate, friendship and business-wise. I mean, just they have it going on. And one of our speakers, actually, Caleb and Brittany Auman at Entrepreneur Academy Live. So if you guys want to hear this kind of conversation and maybe a little bit more X's and O's, because we are talking business there, they'll be up here in Novi, Michigan here this November. So Caleb, if people want to catch up with you guys, where do they find you, and where can they keep up? And then we'll button it up right here, man.
Hey, man. Thanks, dude. Pleasure as always. And this was a ton of fun. Auman Landscape on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all those places, the Hardscape Academy and Kid Contractor Podcast. Pleasure as always, man. I'm always flattered to be on your show, bud.
Amen. Well, hey, if you guys haven't followed Caleb along, like I said, make sure you guys do. Send him a DM, say, hey, heard you on Brian's show, banger. You guys can say whatever you want, but just give him some kudos, because it is nice getting that feedback and letting us know that somebody's on the other end listening to this. And if you guys enjoyed it, man, thank Caleb. Thank Caleb for being on the show and giving us some wisdom. And like you said, he missed family tuck-in night, and that is really cool. I'm looking forward to those days as well when I got little kiddos running around. So I hope pancake breakfast goes well on Thursday or Friday morning or whatever that was. And so tell Brittany we appreciate her letting us have you for an hour and a half here, and we'll let you go, brother. That's all I got.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great night, everybody.
All right, guys. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, like we said earlier, don't forget to share it on social media. And then if you guys want to leave us those all-important ratings and reviews, we really do appreciate that. Let us know how we're doing. If there's anything less than 5 stars, we don't read those reviews on the show, because you know what? Hey, you got to help us out with this thing. You know what I'm saying? So 5 stars or above, that's what we request. And you guys can do whatever you want there. So we appreciate you guys big time. All right, over and out. Catch up with you guys here on the next one. Bye.
When productivity matters, Billy Goat's one and done 30-inch and 25-inch plugger reciprocating aerators deliver. You have a tight window of time to complete your aeration services before the leaves start flying and fall cleanups get underway. So get to it with hydro drive, self-propelled, variable speed, in-ground turning, and the unmatched maneuverability of a Billy Goat reciprocating aerator. Eliminate double aerating and do patch repair and seedbed prep on the fly, saving time and maximizing your productivity. Complete a quarter acre in as little as 15 minutes with the 30-inch and up to just under 43,000 square feet per hour with the 25-inch. Get in more jobs per day and do them with one pass, one machine, a one-man crew, and aerate one time without callbacks. See your local lawn and garden dealer and ask about the 150-day deferred, 0 down, 0% or low interest financing up to 4 years.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production. Time with the best equipment and hang out with your favorite lawn bros. Brian said, oh, man, I feel like Caleb Auman this morning. Man, why does my voice suck today?